He looked at my old clothes, my worn-out shoes, and decided exactly who I was. My son-in-law believed I was just another retired old man living a simple life. He had no idea I was the silent owner of the billion-dollar company where he proudly served as CEO. Then one evening, he invited me to dinner with his parents. I accepted for one reason. I wanted to discover how they would treat a man they believed had nothing. But before dessert arrived, an envelope slid across the table. 2 minutes later, every smile disappeared. Stay until the end because what happened next changed every relationship in that room forever. For over 30 years, I built my business from a tiny warehouse into one of the largest companies in the country. While others chased luxury, I chose a simple life. I drove an old car, wore inexpensive clothes, and lived quietly because I wanted people to value character instead of wealth. When my daughter married Daniel, I welcomed him warmly. He was ambitious, intelligent, and quickly climbed the corporate ladder until he became CEO of my company. The ownership was hidden behind a family trust, and only the board knew the truth. Daniel never asked about my past, and I never volunteered the information. Over time, I noticed subtle changes. Whenever he visited, he spoke proudly about expensive watches, luxury vacations, and powerful connections. He often joked that people who lived modestly had probably missed their chance in life. I smiled but stayed silent. One weekend, Daniel invited me to dinner with his parents. My daughter looked nervous, but I agreed. I wanted to see how they would treat someone they believed was poor. As soon as I arrived, I felt the difference. His parents barely greeted me. They laughed at my old jacket and whispered about my worn shoes. Daniel politely introduced me but seemed embarrassed to have me sitting beside them. Throughout dinner they discussed money, status, and success. Every conversation somehow became a comparison between wealthy people and ordinary people. Then Daniel's father leaned forward. "So, how do you support yourself these days?" "I live comfortably," I answered with a smile. He laughed. "Comfortably, in that old car." Everyone chuckled except my daughter. A few minutes later, Daniel's mother quietly pushed an envelope toward me. "We know retirement can be difficult," she said. "There's some cash inside. Maybe it will help." The room became silent. I looked at the envelope without touching it. Instead, I reached into my briefcase and placed another envelope on the table. "I appreciate your concern," I said calmly. "But I actually came to give Daniel something." Curious, he opened it. His smile disappeared instantly. Inside was an official letter from the board of directors announcing an emergency shareholder meeting the following morning. Attached was the ownership certificate showing my name. Daniel looked at me, then back at the document. His hands started shaking. "You own the company. I founded it." The room froze. His father couldn't speak. His mother slowly lowered her eyes. The room became silent. I looked at the envelope without touching it. Instead, I reached into my briefcase and placed another envelope on the table. "I appreciate your concern," I said calmly. "But I actually came to give Daniel something." Curious, he opened it. His smile disappeared instantly. Inside was an official letter from the board of directors announcing an emergency shareholder meeting the following morning. Attached was the ownership certificate showing my name. Daniel looked at me, then back at the document. His hands started shaking. "You own the company. I founded it." The room froze. His father couldn't speak. His mother slowly lowered her eyes. Daniel whispered, "Why didn't you ever tell me?" I smiled. "Because I wanted to know whether you respected people, or only respected money." No one answered. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the board meeting early. Instead of discussing profits, we discussed leadership. I reminded every executive that success without humility eventually destroys itself. Daniel apologized sincerely, not because he feared losing his position, but because he finally understood the lesson. His parents also apologized for judging me before knowing my story. From that day forward, our family dinners changed completely. Nobody cared about expensive clothes anymore. Nobody measured success by cars or bank accounts. Instead, they learned the most valuable investment in life is kindness, because wealth can buy almost everything, except respect that must be earned. And that lesson became worth far more than the company itself. Never judge someone by their appearance. The quietest person in the room may have the greatest story, the strongest character, and the biggest heart. Real wealth isn't measured by money. It's measured by the respect you show others when you believe they have nothing to offer. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment saying respect is priceless.